Welcome. My name is Peter from Promega Leather, and as I said, I will come up with a video on the process of making a pattern or a handbag. We have a lot of designs out there in the market, but in order to give us an idea of bag making, I will talk on 3 designs. First, I will talk on this design first. So, in order to make a pattern, there are certain factors you have to bear in mind. I will say, let me say 1, how balanced your product is going to be. That affects durability of your product. For example, we have handbags out there. For example, after making a product, you realize that all the 4 corners of the product are not touching the platform. Let me say your table or your workbench or whatever. All the 4 corners are not touching your workbench. Let's take this design, for instance. After making it, you realize that when you place it on the table, this end is suspended while these 3 ends are on the table, or this end down here and this end in the back are suspended. They are not touching the platform. They are not touching your workbench. They are not resting on your workbench. That tells you that your product is not balanced. Secondly, how you place the handles. If, for instance, I will take it really simple so all of us understand. For instance, if this side of your handle is a little bit low and this side is a little bit up, that affects the balance of your product. It affects its durability. If the distance from here to there and from here to there is not exact, that affects the balance. It affects durability of your product. These are all factors that we have to key in order to make a perfect handbag. The next point that we are going to touch on balance and durability is how you square your pattern. How you square your pattern will affect the durability. If your pattern is not squared, I will talk on that when we actually, get into the process of pattern making. So, that being said, you already know the design that you want to make. You have it either in mind or you have it drawn on paper. Now you have to transfer, you have to put that design on a pattern. Certain designs can only go on paper. They cannot go on pattern. If you put it on pattern, you cannot transfer that pattern into leather. So we have to make sure that our design is workable. If you try and you cannot transfer it on leather, it's not working. You have to try again until you get it right. But sometimes if it is taking too long, it is not worth it, So the next point that we are going to touch, that I'm going to touch, is how to come up with the pattern, how to determine the height of your bag, to determine the length of your bag, and to determine the depth of your bag. First, I'll talk about the length of your bag. The length of your bag is, or the length of your product, depends on you. Like as I said in my other video, designers and craftsmen are like, we are like demigods. We are demigods, You have this idea in mind and you create something out of nothing. You create something out of a piece of leather, a flat sheet of leather. You create something out of it. This was a piece of leather and I created it to this beautiful product. So the length of your bag, you determine the length of your bag. That is easy. How the depth of your bag, you determine the depth of your bag. That is easy. The height of your bag, you determine the height of your bag. That is easy. But when it comes to, let's take this product for instance. Let's take this product. Now I lay it flat. You have two main parts of a bag: the gusset and the body. This right here, this part all around, is the gusset. We all know that. This part is the body. But when it comes to making a pattern of this bag, you have to determine where to start. After determining the depth, the height, the problem is, what is gonna be the length of your gusset? We at Promega Leather, we always start with the gusset. In certain cases, the body of your bag becomes your gusset. So, in this bag, to determine the length of this part right here, all around, you have to come up first with this part, the body. Then you measure the distance, or you measure the length all around in order to come up with this part. That's one. With this product right here, this is a clutch, it's a crossbody, or you call it a barrel bag, whatever, you know. With this product right here, you have to determine the height, you have to determine the bottom, the length of the bottom, how you want it to be, how, you know, the depth, so to speak. That would be the distance of the bottom from there to there. You have to determine that in mind. Then you start with the gusset. Now your starting point is here. You do your gusset, then you measure the distance all around from there all the way to there. That length will tell you how the length of the body of the bag. It will tell you the length of the body of the bag from here all the way to this point here. Next, we take this bucket bag. Now, this bucket bag, as you can see, does not have a gusset. It does not have a gusset. So, in order to make this bag, your gusset is the bottom of your bag. So you come up, after coming up with the height, in order to come up with the depth of your bag, you will make the gusset. You determine how wide your gusset will be. How wide your gusset will be from the bottom, from this part right here. The distance from here to there. It will determine how wide your product will be. The next thing you take into consideration is the seam lines. Because when you put in this bag together, you're going to stitch. And how wide your seam is will affect the depth of your bag, and it will also affect the height of your bag. So, let's keep that aside. After having said that, I have 4 different bags here. And this bag right here, you start with the body. You start with the body, and the body will tell you the distance of your gusset from there to there, the distance of the bottom gusset from there to there. So this bag has a 3-piece gusset, 2 sides and a bottom. So, we have basically touched about 4 different designs. On this design, you can come up with totes, you can come up with briefcases, you can come up with duffel bags, you can come up with crossbody bags, you can come up with clutch bags. This design, or with this design, you can come up with duffel bags, crossbody bags, clutch bags, messenger bags, in some cases, briefcases. If you are skilled enough, you can come up with briefcases. On this design, you can come up with little crossbody bags. You can come up with messenger bags. On this design, it depends on how high, how deep, how wide your bag is. On this design, you can come up with backpacks. You can come up with totes. You can come up with little crossbody bags. If you make this small enough, it can be a crossbody bag. So that being said, normally I do my designs on cardboard papers. So let's take, for instance, I don't know which of the bags to choose. Okay, let's take, for instance, we want to do this bag. We will start with the bottom of the bag. Let's say we want our bag to be 5 inches by 5 inches deep by 12 inches deep. Okay, we will measure to make that pattern. Let me go about 7 inches. I do a 1 since my ruler is just 6 inches. I do a 1, then I do a 6 by 14. I do a 6 by 14. So I'm going to cut this out. So I have my 7 by 14. So the next step that I'm going to do is to square this paper, is to square this cardboard. This is the bottom of the bag. So 7 by 14, so 3.5 by 7. So I measure 3.5, 1, 2, 3, and 2/4. So it's 3.5 as core. I am not cutting all the way through, just deep enough so I can fold it. You know, I'm sorry, I was about to do this video live, but the lighting was not good. The lighting was not good for me to come live. So I square this. I will not mind that little difference. That's why we made our width here 7. Bear in mind, we are squaring this pattern right here. So after doing that, I will measure 7 inches, which is the midway, and make sure my ruler falls at exactly 7 inches. Sometimes you can do it this way. You mark. Other crafters will do it this way. Make sure the ruler falls on this edge. So when you do that, you make a point right there. You punch your paper. Let me use my owl. I can find, let me use this owl right here. I punch 1 mark. Now I have both marks. I have the mark on the 2 sides, on both sides. So I place my ruler on the midway point of that mark and I score again. It was deep enough so I can fold it. Now, after doing this, we wanted our pattern to be 12 inches deep. I mean 12 inches in length. Sorry about that. 12 inches in length. So I'm going to go ahead and measure 6.5 inches. If you multiply that by 2, you will have 13 inches. So I will cut. We have 13 inches on this side. We wanted our product to be 5 inches deep. So I'm going to measure exactly 3 inches. 3 inches on this side, and I will cut. Now we have 13 inches by 6 inches. I will explain why we have that. So I will do my middle line here, and also I will do a middle line here. Now, why this is 6 inches is because I want to have a 1/2 inch seam on this side. I mean 1/2 inch seam all around. Want to have a 1/2 inch seam. All around. Okay. Now, this becomes the bottom of the bag. Almost. We're not yet there. So, we fold this and we make a mark here and there, just like that. And on the middle, we also make a mark there and there. You see that? Those marks, they fall on the line. That means our pattern is square. Okay. That's not all. So, the next point that we'll do, I always make use of, I always make use of the materials I have. In this case, I'm going to use my my thread. We'll round this edge. I'm doing it just once and cut maybe twice. Why I'm doing it once? Because I want all the 4 corners to be the same. That's why I'm doing it once. I didn't do it here, turn around, do it here, and do it there. No. I did it once. Now I'm going to fold again. And from this, I will cut. If you find that both edges are not, you didn't cut both edges, the same, you make use of your sandpaper. You sand that down a little bit. You sand it down to make sure all the edges are the same. fold, you sand that down, to make sure all the edges are the same. Now, we have, gotten the bottom of the bag, which is this part right here, which became our gusset. In order to get the body of the bag, that is the length from this point to this point, or the length all around. What we'll need to do is to measure from this point. We go all around to this point, or we can start from there all around to this point. Now, some leather crafters, they use a tailor's tape, but when you do that, your length is not going to be exact. It's not going to be the same length of the bottom of your bag, which is now our gusset. It's not going to be the same. So I use a simple trick. I have these leather strips that I've made. They're just lying somewhere in my workshop where I just grabbed this one. So what I do is I glue this, put a bit of contact cement, glue on it. Not much, just so it can stick on the cardboard paper.